All right, Joe, it's me and it's you. And imagine we're backstage. Imagine we're backstage at some
Yeah,
fucking venue and you want to get out of the room, but you can't now. No,
I can't.
really, I'm gonna say actually a lot of nice stuff to you for the first time ever. So it's gonna be
Holy shit!
wonderful. Oh
I'm
yeah. Well,
excited. Bring it.
there we go. Yes. Being like a modern metal band as we would call it. We're both in modern metal bands, right? You
Right.
guys to us are like by far the most inspiring in terms of your journey, and because you've had to take a trajectory that is not really comparable to the bands that you and I listen to or even have or tour with, like opening up with, and you talk to them, whether it's you guys have obviously toured with Metallica, or whether it's when we toured with Anthrax or Slipknot. It's like, you know, some of the best bands ever. Their
Yeah.
records came out, the shit hit, it went boom, 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 and the journey began, right? And they were pretty much where they're at now. I'm not saying that there wasn't a couple years there, but it's boom. And for me, that's always been something that's like not discouraging because I love those bands, but I would see that and I'll go like, shit, we do another album. I'm like, we're getting farther away from that journey that those bands had. So
Yeah.
to us looking at you guys, we've always been like really inspired by the amount of times and amount of great records you've made that you keep climbing that ladder. And I know it's not like there's not an end game. It's not like, oh, we want to take over the world, but you get to more people. More people know who Gojira is. You're now coming into
Yeah.
this record in a position where I saw you on the cover of Rolling Stone of France, whatever. It's crazy shit that's like would have been unimaginable at some point, I'm assuming. So my question is
Yeah.
basically, how did you keep motivation throughout that journey, and like at the different stages of that journey, were your goals different? Did you always have a similar goal? Did you feel like each time you were getting where you feel like you wanted to be in terms of how many people could heard your band?
I don't know. We were born a bit late after the whole music industry was flourishing and all these bands could sell a lot of records and be comfortable in music. The music business was really different back then. When we started, it was the late 90s, but took us 10 years because we came from a small village in the southwest of France. It took us 10 years to just break through these borders. And the closest people we had that were in the business were not necessarily good advice. They would tell us, "Yeah, yeah, you should sing in French, and what's up with the death metal thing? It's it's in the
Yeah.
past. You guys need to do some hip hop shit." So anyway, people didn't believe we could make it, but we didn't. I think for us, what the key was that we weren't really after immediate result. We were already blown away to be able to just play together and create that ball of energy that we would play in front of people. It was very immediate reward for us. We would play a show, people would headbang, yeah, happy, you know what I mean? So for
Yeah.
10 years, it was just that, but there was more and more and more people headbanging in front of us. And it was already after 10 years, we were like, hey, man, we did something already in France. We were really living the dream because we get to drive our van to a venue and then they opened the door and let us play there. It was incredible. Just
Oh
that.
yeah.
And so we kept small goals, little by little. I'm not saying we're never thinking big. Of course, we were dreaming to be the next Metallica, but it was sort of a blurry sort of a fantasy,
Yeah.
that was on top of
Yeah.
our head. But it didn't really resonate with anything that was actually possible to achieve. I don't know, man. We love music so much that we always, we're always excited to play in front of a larger audience, slightly larger audience for every album. We never lost to the faith.
Yes, oh, for sure. And I know from like just doing a micro version of what you've done in terms of like interviews and stuff, like it's hard to verbalize that journey for sure. Cause it just feels like
Yeah,
when you've been on a long journey like that, it's like just like what you said. It's like this small goals thing. But it's just like when looking being our band and looking at your band, I don't know if you even realize it, but like you're setting a beautiful standard for what can be done, because
Thanks.
outside of you, there's maybe a couple others you could say it about, but like not, to me, not bands that have like culture and credibility and have like a real true sound that like that don't feel shaped by the outside world. You guys are creating like, okay, this is how you do it. Whether you meant to do that or not, it's like, this is how you do it. You keep hammering at the wall and eventually the wall falls down. And like now, like you said, you're from a small fucking village in France or whatever. And fucking, you know, and I've been to your shows in France, and they're actually some of the most, they're some of the like most insane, awesome shows we've ever been a part of or been to. But just to think like, it's crazy to think about the fact that you guys are, I guess, like, you know, you're a foreign band, you're a band from outside of here, but you're like a household name here in a way where that doesn't even, it's almost like Sepultura or something where that doesn't really connect. It's on par with everything. And so that's why I wanted to try to see if you could like phrase it, because I think for kids reading it who are doing bands now, that's for a lot of them, that's the way that's going to have to be, because that's the business that we're in. But you know, when you were writing this record, you know, Magma was clearly the record that, I guess, in a lot of ways, like broke you guys or kind of broke you through that wall. And that's probably, you tell me, but that's probably why you toured so long on it and really like kept going on it, because you finally kind of hit that thing and everything you wanted was coming. So when you're writing this record, does that factor into your mind, or are you able to kind of drown that noise out like you and Mario and the boys? Are you able to just focus on each song? Or because, you know, I've noticed for me, you know, I'm doing that 100%. I'm focused on the art and the songs, but then there is that drip of like, when you're really honest with yourself and you're not, for me, like when I'm not trying to like play pretend, there's that drip of like, is what we're doing better? Is what we're doing gonna help us? Like, and it's hard to block out. So I was just wondering if that seeps into your mind and how you dealt with that.
I'm definitely aware of that pressure. I try to ignore it. I try to go to the studio thinking we need to have fun, you know, we need to create something that, you know, we enjoy. And that's, this is always the direction that we're taking. But of course, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's becoming our lifestyle. It's becoming our entire life, being on the roads. We go through so many different things that people don't necessarily realize, or they know pretty much, yeah, they're on a tour bus, they're having fun, you know, drinking beer. But it's hard. It's fucking hard, man. When you sacrifice so much for your passion and for your love of music and love of performing and sharing with people, it's beautiful what we're doing, but it's hard. It's so hard. So of course, when it's time to make a new album, and you know that this album could be a game changer and put you in a bigger bunk, you know, and put your ass in a hotel sometimes, and headlining festivals and good food, you know, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's there. Of course it's there, you know, I'm not gonna lie. But luckily, our tendencies, where we want to go now musically, is fits with that, also that reality. And I think by playing shows, when we play a riff where people can connect and sing along, it's also incredibly rewarding. So you want more of that too, just because the feeling it gives you. And we were lucky to, a lot of people gave us shots. You know, bands took us on tour when we were really death metal. You know, Metallica took us on tour the first time we didn't have any single out or anything. So it was putting us on the stage. Well, here, death metal, you know, turds, show what you can do, you know, in front of a crowd that wants like major fucking hits, you know, and legendary bands and stuff. So we got that opportunity to test our material in front of audiences like that. And I think without thinking about it, it probably shaped our sound, you know, a little bit. So somehow it's related to what you're mentioning, I think, you know, present in our subconscious. And sometimes we're conscious of it too. When we write a killer riff, what do we say? You know, people are gonna dig that shit.
Yes, dude, there really is some fucking insane riffs on this record. So I feel like, okay, the way that I perceive from listening to the record that you guys walk that line like very, very well. And something that really helps you is, I think, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys did all the production on this record pretty much, or you
Yeah,
recorded everything.
yeah.
What the way for me, like that factors in so much, because the way you made it sound is hard. Like even the hard parts on this record, they sound a lot harder than hard parts on previous records because of the way the drums and the guitars sound. They
Yeah.
cut through in a way that, like, I feel a lot of metal producers, like a lot, like so many of them, they just like neuter that sound because they just have, there's something that I don't know how to even explain it, but there's like this kind of sound that this like freaking satellite radio kind of sound that metal has, that's like now where it's like the highest high and the lowest lows are kind of like almost cut off and everything's kind of here, and it just
Uh,
sounds like fucking shit. Yeah, everyone sounds like,
Shit.
it sounds like
No,
shit,
we gotta
exactly.
fight that. We gotta fight that. We
I
gotta add
agree,
some
man.
mids. We gotta add some punch. And it was a conscious thing when we recorded. Actually, this album, the production of this album was an incredible adventure for a whole year in the studio, from the demos to the final takes with vocals. There was a million of things happening every day. We would change guitars and amps or microphones, depending on what part we were dealing with. The drums were the
Yeah.
drums. We did a lot of work on the drums too, tuning the room. Never tuned the room before, but at
Yeah,
least,
what the fuck's that?
the drums and the room, everything needs to resonate in the room. And then you have this magic moment where the stars are aligned and everything starts to sound incredible. It's not enough just to throw some mics and some plugins, and we
Dude.
really, really concentrated on the physicality of the recording. And I read a bunch of stuff, and with our sound guy, Johan Mayer, that you know,
Oh yeah,
is
he's a
doing a great job
fucking
live.
beast.
Yeah, but
Yes.
not necessarily, all sound guys are not necessarily good in the studio, and vice versa, because there are different environments. So being a producer is looking for that to looking to align these stars, and to capture the perfect thing. To be honest, this one was not, and this is not a secret. I'm pretty much bragging about this. This is not mixed by us. It's mixed by Andy Wallace.
There we
who's a
go.
legend,
Fuck yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's awesome.
So we had him in mind from the start, and I didn't even know if he was going to be available. We were just hoping that he would accept to come out of retirement to do that project, because he
Yeah.
retired, and he did, which is incredible. But the
Wow.
production of the album happened during recording engineering. That was like, when we were done with that, I could press play with no plugins, no EQs, nothing, and it was already sounding good, where I
Yes.
wanted it to be. And then Andy just worked his magic and made everything more alive and powerful, but we kept the dynamic. I know exactly what you're talking about when you talk about the new metal sounds, that is getting compressed on Spotify, on radio and stuff. It's a disaster what's happening to the sound quality these days, I find,
Oh, 100%. And you know what? Actually, something you just said that I think is, I don't know if you'll kind of see the connection here, but like the way that you just described doing the record, which is almost like, and this is the way we've really tried to do, especially our last record, which we actually ran into some problems with it. But the way you're almost like, you're not mixing as you go per se, but you're like leveling as you go. So it's not like you record a lot of rock and metal bands, what they do is record a bunch of stuff and then they give it to a mixer, and then the mixer is supposed to figure it all out. And that doesn't work at all for a band like us. Actually, and for a band like you guys, actually, like hip hop, that is more the way that it's done as well, like the way that you're describing, because it's more, a lot of it could be more bedroom, a lot of it's more individual. So people are doing things as they go, and it's kind of sounding, it's like happening as it goes. And that honestly is a more modern way to do it in a cool way, and then this modern metal sound is like the opposite of that. It like you said, it sounds like everything is done afterwards or something, like everything's recorded like DI, and then it's just like a bunch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Often recording a metal album, if you already recorded a metal album with other people, or if you did that once with your band, or if you hear stories, it's like going to school, you know. Oh, we're gonna get the tone, the guitar tone. That's it. Don't move, you know. Don't put some fences around that. And we can't get it close. We have the tone, you know. And then you
Yeah.
record all these songs with that, and then you reamp. But by the time you get to mixing, you lose the spontaneity of the. You're not spontaneous with your sound anymore, and then you're also tired by the end of a process. It's not necessarily the best time to be creative with sound. I find
Yes.
at the beginning of the process, you can commit with a certain sound and use a crazy weird amp or something that's cracking for this intro. You use this shitty amp and you put a shitty mic and on purpose, you know, and you get that shitty sound versus putting
Yes.
it in a weird plug-in to make it sound like a fake radio, which makes it sound fake. But how about using a real radio instead, you know, and plug your guitar in a radio to get that vibe. So I'm fascinated by this process, and I'm absolutely in awe, you know, in front of the big producers that do that for a living. And this is my ambition personally, is to be a good producer. And I take it very seriously. I'm not just a dude from the band who recorded it himself, you know.
Yes.
I'm trying to be very attentive to all these things and learn from every experience. I built 2 studios with my friends. The first one was a little crooked, not ideal.
Yeah.
The second one was way better, that Civil Court Studio, and all the people that come in say that the drums sound great in the room, which I'm really happy, because I don't have a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
experience. But it
Oh
sounds good,
yeah.
you know, the room sounds good. So and then we placed the drums very carefully and took off some shit from the ceilings to have more resonance, and did some measurements. And we even audition freaking drum techs to come and tune the drums, to find the perfect
Dude.
drum tech to tune the drums, you know?
Great. Well, I'll tell you this. You've fucking screwed me over, because now I got Reba, who is like obsessed with the way that these drums and guitars sound and shit. And she's like, our drums sound like shit. I'm like, God fucking damn it. So then she tells me that, and I'm like, fuck that. Their shit don't sound that good. Then I put it on and I'm like, oh shit, this does sound really fucking good. Because it sounds, you know, the drums sound like real, but they also, it's like they sound really real, but they also sound big enough and thick enough that it also accomplishes that thing we both want to accomplish, of course, of it sounding really big and loud and comparative to other genres and comparative to other kinds of music. Because sometimes if you get too real, it just sounds like shit. So it's like this very like difficult line.
Exactly.
And obviously you got a god level player as well, which helps a lot. But it sounds, with Mario being like one of the best drummers there is. But I mean, it straight up sounds incredible. You know, like when we worked with Chris Verena, who was the drummer of Nine Inch Nails for the Downward Spiral and Pretty Hate Machine, and he did a lot of the programming stuff. You know, we learned a lot from that about what we're talking about. You know, they used to throw drums down the stairs and record it. They used to record drums in all kinds of different rooms. Like, and if you listen to that record, if you listen to the Downward Spiral, you'll hear that it sounds more, you know, like it's in the future than anything that comes out now. And it was made in fucking the mid 90s or whatever, you know, the early 90s. So it's like, dude, doing things in a real way and blending that with our tools we have now, that seems to be the key. And I feel like you totally nailed it with the guitar and drum sound.
It means so much coming from you, you know, because
dude, I mean it.
I'm an admirer of your sound, and I think you managed to evolve very quickly and to be so very, very creative and everything. And your sound is absolutely amazing. Your live stream was fucking mind blowing too.
Thank you.
And it's inspiring, you know. It's cool, you know. We're in a friendly competition in a way, but also we're all bands are, you know what I mean. But
yeah.
Also we're supposed to support each other and help each other, inspire each other, because the stronger you are, the stronger I am. You know, the stronger.
100%.
You know,
100%. And you know, and you know me, I'm not a fucking kumbaya motherfucker. Like, I'm against pretty much everybody, but not you. You guys, we're talking about you guys. Like, you truly do inspire us, because, like, man, there's really not much. Like, what is there to look? And again, I want to get it more into the record. We don't have to stay on this for too long, but like, what is there to look at? That's like, okay, that's cool. that band is for real. They fucking kick ass live. They've been doing it a long time. They had to grind it out. You check all these boxes. It's cultural. It's not like forced, you know. It's real. It's like those bands were that we love. Not what it sounds like, but in like the feeling that it gives, you know, the greats. So I mean, for us, from you guys, it's all inspiration because 100%, like when I see you guys achieve stuff, I'm like, okay, it's possible. And
It is.
that's a beautiful position to
That's
be in
great.
for you guys. You know what I mean? It's, and you've earned it. There's no one that can say that anything. There's literally no one who could say anything about your journey, because go look at it. Go to just Spotify. Look how many records there are. But yet
Mhm.
you're putting out another one now, and people are so excited about it. It was the #1 ranked. I think it was on Revolver and a bunch of things, like most anticipated record. And you know, I wanted to ask you about that record, about Fortitude. It feels like it's a lot more of like a maybe philosophical or spiritual or something kind of record. And the last record was clearly, I've talked you out a little bit, but I've more read like interviews and stuff you guys did, like a really personal record with your family and stuff.
Yep.
So was that intentional? Like, okay, we want to twist it and kind of do something that feels something more about like this universe we're inhabiting, as opposed to like maybe what's like something that was really hurting you, or is it just what happened with your life?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a good observation because myself, I didn't put it this way even, but it's true. We had something in mind, you know. It was it was an album about, you know, grief and loss, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a bit sad, therefore, and very very internal, very poetic in a way, and personal. Yeah, like you said. And we wanted to express strength with this one because that's what we're aiming for. You know, we want to create something powerful that is bigger than us and that smashes people in the face in a good way. You know, and
Yeah.
we want to create power. Uh,
Yes.
and someone asked me in an interview, like, why are you so obsessed with power? Isn't it a little machist or something? I'm like, well, you call me a
Dumbass question.
macho because I'm talking about power. It doesn't have to be for men. It's also women. It's power, dude. So anyway, but
Just tell them shut the fuck up
yeah, yeah.
next
Next
time.
time I'll say that.
Next, say next motherfucking question. Move on. People are like, well, what are these like that question right there? It's like, who would hear this album and go like, man, this band is obsessed with machismo? It's like, why are you in this business? It's like, just go fuck yourself. Anyway, continue on. Sorry
For
for cutting
sure.
you off.
No, it could be a legitimate question, but you know, we live in a weird time where people get paranoid with words and concepts, and they get a little
Yeah,
confused, if you want my
for sure.
opinion. But anyway, what you just said, that it was Magma was more personal, and what about this one? And I would say this one is more political in a way.
Okay.
Because, you know, political in the sense that if you have an opinion about the world, then you are a political spirit, you know. If you have an
Yeah.
opinion and if you express it, you're starting to become political. If you talk about, oh, I'm hurt, you know, it's not necessarily political, but if you say, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, maybe, you know, that becomes political. So in a
Yeah.
way, and also it's expressing opinion on what's important in our societies. One underlying idea throughout the whole record, and is something that is very dear to my heart these days, my political consciousness is very animated by the concept of civil disobedience. How if if a law is unfair, unjust, we should break it, you know.
Hmm.
If something's wrong, we should go out and raise our, you know, voice. We should do
Yeah.
something, even if it's um, forbidden to do so by law. You know, we should break the law. People should make the laws, not the other way around, you know.
Yeah.
So in some of the songs, you know, there's an infusion of civil disobedience propaganda, if I might say, you know.
I like that, because I even like how bluntly you're putting it, because I think a lot of times bands who, you know, go the route of wanting to delve into like issues of, especially in like a time like now, who that want to delve into these sorts of issues, they're scared to kind of say what you just said, which is like, you're saying, I mean, you're not telling anyone to go break the law, but you're saying that if it's about power of the people's spirit, whether it's accepted or not, you know, whether it's accepted on whether the rules tell you that it's the right thing to do or not, which I think that's a fine line that some people are scared to walk, but you feel that in the record. You know, it feels like to me, like the reason I said spiritual is not necessarily because I like God, but it just feels like this feeling of like the earth kind of bubbling under, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's a theme that is very common for us, for our songs. You know, it's pretty much all about that. You know, about basically something I like to say often, and it really it sums it up. You know, we're on a ball in the middle of the whatever it is we call the
yeah,
universe, that has no, you know, no end. It's infinity, and we're a bunch of ants on that little ball. Actually, not ants, but human beings.
yeah,
And now what? You know what I mean? So everything
yeah,
we know we have for sure is under our feet. You know, it's the planet Earth. And you know, for example, the song Amazonia is about the Amazon forest. What's happening right now in the Amazon forest is very dramatic. Deforestation is something that everybody's aware of, but there was a little break, not a break, but it was starting to get better to about 15 years ago. And 3 years ago, Bolsonaro was elected, and some things started to change, and the situation in the Amazon now is really, really, really bad. The, you know, all the fires you probably remember 2 years ago.
yeah,
So all these fires are criminal, you know. So for example, like we're grown-ups, right? We're the grown-ups of today. We have to do something for this, you know. We have to raise
yes,
the voice for this, because it's itching, you know, for me to say something or to do something. So and the risk is to look like a fool, you know. What do you know? You know, white boy from France over there, you know.
yeah. No, that is the risk. That is the tightrope that all of us are on now in this world
Yeah.
where like everything is so accessible, everything you've ever said and done and is so accessible, and it's like, you know, you don't always have. That's why we make these records. That's why you made this record, because maybe not every single thing can be articulated in this especially like even in a format like this, but you make these records because you can sit and really decide. It's like writing a book or a movie. This is the way that I want to present it, in terms of audio, in terms of not just the lyrics, but I can hear in the record, which I wanted to ask you about also, like a lot of the soundscapes, whether it's like you said, this kind of, I don't know if the word would be like, it's like Amazonian or a little bit like tribal or natural. And there's like, I even hear these like chimes that like kind of cut through, and like the chants. And I'm wondering, like, are you trying to, is that part of like the picture you're trying to paint, so that connection maybe really clicks with people on like what, on what not only your message, but what like the band's about in general? How do the soundscapes play into the message you're trying to put forward?
Yeah, it's actually the fun part of the production, like, you know, producing the album. It's adding all these things. I basically, you know, I have a bucket full of instruments
Yeah.
I collected.
That's cool.
Each time there's a part that, you know, I can, you know, we could put something. I grab something in the bucket. Let's try this. And let's try this. Ding ding. Oh yeah, man, that ding ding right there. You
That
know, we
little
have
ding
more
ding.
tools to go to, you know, this bucket. And I was telling in a previous interview today, because I did a bunch today, that some of these weird ass instruments that I'm using on every record made it on every single Gojira album. There's maybe 3 or 4 of them that are present on every single album.
That's
It was not a
awesome.
conscious decision. It's just I'm dragging that bucket everywhere around, you know, with me. And
I love that.
I always have a bunch of shells handy, or a bell, or and some of the guitars made it on 2, 3 albums, you know, even 4. but none of them made it on every album. But the freaking bunch of shells and the bell, the cowbell, and this and that, yeah, it's
Yeah,
there all the time. It's constant.
that's
So sometimes
amazing.
it's buried in the mix. Sometimes it's really, up there. And
It
on
cuts
this one, I
through on
wanted
this one.
to,
It
huh?
cuts through on this one. It like dresses
For
everything. Like
sure.
you can hear every sound. And that's another part of the production I love. It's like we obviously focus on that a lot, as well as like it's things are there for a reason. When like
Yeah.
even sometimes your vocals will hang back to make room for kind of the kind of natural sounds that are like pervading the whole thing. So I mean, the way you made it sound is awesome, because it really, I feel like it matters. This, I know you're saying that these sounds are on all your records, and I've heard them in the past, but I feel like they really matter on this record. They like dress the whole thing. So like some of
Yeah.
the things we're talking about, even if you don't know what you're saying, you know what you're, if you feel the feeling, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like you did a really great job with that.
Absolutely. That's great. That's fucking awesome, man. There's a big portion of this record I wanted to what's the word? Um, it's a big shout out for all the indigenous people of this planet.
Yeah.
To me, and I heard somebody saying that, a dear friend of mine, an activist, said that the indigenous people all over the world are the last people in their right minds. They are the ones that can live with the nature in tune, and they truly belong here, and they're not part of the parasite aspect of humanity. They are the only
Yeah.
ones. Even good people like you and me, we're part of the problem somehow, because we drive cars, we take
Oh,
planes.
oh, I'm
we
part of the problem no matter what. Yeah. I mean, I'm part of a lot of problems. Yeah. Continue.
You're part of a lot of problems. Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, riot starters like us, But we're starting this project when we're gonna release Amazonia. We're gonna try to raise money to go and support the indigenous community of the Amazon. The cover is sort of a mix between an indigenous warrior and a knight of the round table. The knights of the round table, they are fighting to protect some important values, and the indigenous represent the good part of humanity, that the real people, the real deal, the ones that live with nature, and it's another level. But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the message on the album. And so all these sounds, all these little percussions and shells and mantras, the chant is
Yes.
straight up, it's a mantra. It's a mantra that came from intuition and heart. I didn't copy something, but certainly very heavily influenced by all these indigenous cultures.
Yeah.
So that's present on the album, and I think it's makes me happy. I like to add it makes the music fruitier. That's
Yeah.
all.
Listen, trust me, I was like, let's just make half the band that, because it's way more fun for my band. So we just turned half the band into that shit, because it's the more, like you said, it's the fun part. We're doing the sounds. That's
Yeah.
pretty much all I like at this point. So I think, no, but I feel like it complements everything. And, I feel like the record, like we're talking about, there's a lot of layers, like you said. And in some ways it's dense musically in some ways, but like we're both saying, it has a lot of moments on it that are definitely pushing towards hopefully being something that is more accessible. Even though as a record, I feel like the way it sounds, like I said, with the heavy parts and the hard parts, I think it sounds accessible for sure, but it sounds very hard. So what's like the tightrope for you between like being dense, which you guys I think are in a way just naturally a dense band, and like trying to navigate accessibility in the songs? Because I know both of us agree we're very happy when people sing to the songs. We want people to sing to the songs. We get something great out of that. But at the same time, I think we're both naturally inclined, even if we're trying not to make things like extremely dense, because it's just the way that our brains work. It's like
Exactly.
I go in trying to make songs that are accessible, and I come out of the other end and I'll play them fucking Roadrunner or whatever the fuck. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, to me, I thought we made like, I thought we made like an arena song, but I was wrong. Apparently it was like the craziest song ever. So I mean, what's the accessibility dense like tightrope like for you? Like how do you walk it?
Well, I'm like you, my heart beats too fast. I can't just
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Do it. I can't do it. I agree.
I think if we try too hard to please, some mainstream, expectation, we are going to fail. There's no point in trying that, because if you lose yourself, then who's going to make it? Somebody who's completely lost. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
We feel it in our guts. We have to remain ourselves. This is where your power is when you fucking curse at the audience and you spit all over the place and you come out. Come out of the stage, bleeding. And I'm talking about you. I do curse a bit, but
you do, dude. You go fucking hard. It's not a game. I see, and I also people don't get to see. This is a side route, but just because we've been with you guys a lot on the road on our last record, and people don't get to see like, dude, that shit wears on you. Like, see, it happens more to us now for sure. But you see after the show, like you guys are fucking beat up, man. It's tough. Like I remember always coming in and seeing like, and it ain't just you, it's every band we toured with that goes hard, which isn't a lot. A lot of bands don't go that hard, but you guys go hard every single night. So you'll see like you and Mario, and I'll just see the look on your face. You're just like, fuck, like, I don't know. Can I, like, how do we do this? And that's how I feel too. I'm like, sometimes I'll do a show and I'll see Joe from our band who has like a pinched nerve in his neck and his finger that he plays bass with doesn't work anymore and like all this stuff. Or Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan. I talked to him and like, he's gone through so much shit. It's like, dude, everyone, I mean, actually I shouldn't.
Guys in Slipknot too.
Slipknot. I was gonna say, I don't know what they have lots of problems as well. So yeah, I mean that's a tough line. But I mean, something I think we both probably have learned because we come from extreme music is that making something that's accessible, that's great, which is something we both want because we like accessible, great music. We like fucking Metallica. We like I like fucking Pantera. You probably do too. Fucking like all this shit. It's hard. It's really hard to make something that is like simple in a lot of ways, but like for me, that's harder than making. If I went into a record saying, okay, Code Orange, we're going to make the fucking craziest record ever, where every single part of every song literally made people shit their pants because they know what was going on. I could do that and it wouldn't be that hard for me. But what's really hard is trying to like infuse that accessibility, so that's why I kind of wanted to ask. I feel like Born for One Thing is like was like the single from this record. It's like one of my favorite songs you guys ever did. I think it's like literally the exact tightrope of like what we just talked about, where it's really fucking hard, but it's really catchy. You know what I mean? So when you were making that song, did it just kind of come together naturally, or did you have to like move parts around and tinker with it to get it there?
No, we did move parts around. Indeed we did. That ending, John, that part we had that part in another song, but we felt the other song didn't deserve that riff, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You don't want your awesome riff to carry the whole song, because it's too bad. You want to do like the whole thing badass. It has to be.
Yes.
You have to be pumped, and then when the shit comes, you're like even more pumped. You don't want to be like, I don't know about that song, and then the cool riffs. Oh, but I like that riff though. You don't want that to happen.
Exactly.
So that riff was living with another song, and then we had that intro for a while. This is the typical example of a song that really went through a lot of phases, and bits and parts came together slowly, but then we had to crack the code with finding the proper chorus. So we tried several choruses. It's not always like that. Other songs come boom just like that in one day. I'm sure you know that, right?
Yes.
A combination, like a couple of riffs, maybe 2, 3, and then there's like a breakdown that shows, okay, we have the song. I don't know in what order, but we have it. That's it.
Yes.
That happened. The magic combination the
Oh
riff and his
yeah,
band.
it feels good, dude. But just like you're saying, like the first song on our record called "Swallowing the Rabbit Hole," on that was one of those songs where like
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. We had an awesome part, and then we had like we didn't have like the main riff for it to kick into, and I was like, it's gotta be something like tip top, and we kept throwing things in there, and then eventually it just slid itself in there, and then it was like we look back like, whoa, there we go. So I feel you on that. Like, and then other songs, it's like boom, we just do like me and Reba are just rolling,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good feeling when that happens too, because it was meant to be, when it's done in one day, you're like, okay, this is a thing, the single we released this summer, Another World, was like that. It was in one day, just in one day, boom, we had it. But there's two riffs. It was more about the groove and the lyrics, and it was a thing that was supposed to be in the album between two songs. We ended up, releasing it as almost like a standalone. It was a bit confusing, but it was really part of the album. And but the lyrics and the video that came up with it and that came with it became a whole thing almost separately, and we wanted to present it knowing that we're going to push the album so far away. But that's a good example of a song that was made just like that, just in one day.
That was like my next question was, so you're saying that the Another World song, that wasn't made for the purpose of releasing like ahead of time single, you made that as part of like the whole album. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Now I can say it, because so at some point I was not allowed to.
Oh, fuck. Don't fuck that.
No, because,
but I mean, but it sounds like a single though. So it does sound like a single, and it fits on the record really well, because it's nice to like have another song that hits you that has like a big chorus, and like right away, like it feels like, okay, another familiar one to kind of get you warmed up for the whole thing. So that, I think that it worked out in that way, and I think it got people really excited. Like you gave them just enough to where they weren't starting to get really like annoyed with you because you're like refusing to put anything out. So you timed it in a nice way. It's like, okay, we're giving people something because we're not ready to do this record. We want to see maybe what happens with the world, or whatever you were thinking about.
Exactly.
But you gave them something. Exactly. You gave them a little you watered the seed that is like your fan, so they're not like pissed off at you, basically. You know what I mean? Which is good.
Basically, yeah. It's a weird thing, by the way, to be pressured by the internet. It's a new concept. Back in the day, it was easier for bands to do whatever they wanted to do because there was no instant feedback. They could release a terrible song and sleep at night because they wouldn't have the feedback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like now you release something, it's like ding, 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 ding. And then
I know it's like you get such a, I don't know if you experience this, because maybe, I don't know, that maybe it's like different, but like it gives you such like a, even if you don't want it, it gives you this like adrenaline rush, and it's like really weird, like all the like reaction, like you put the record out or the song. I mean, and for this record, that's all we got, because we didn't, speaking from our experience, we didn't get the real rush, which is the live. So all we're getting is just this like internet, like I've still never felt what it'll be, and I'm hopefully soon, but I've still never felt what this record even is for people. All I felt is like what it is through this thing we're looking at. And the irony is, the record is all about that. So it's like this fucking like inception fucking shit. But I feel like but
you managed to grow, man. You're still a young band. Even my band is called the Baby Band, for Christ's sake, and we're 25 years old. So you're just a tiny little baby band. And you managed to grow, even though with all that pandemic and stuff, you managed to grow and to stay present, and your music is fucking badass. I felt so bad for you when you released the album at the beginning of the pandemic, but
it's what, dude, whatever. I mean, like end of the day, there's way worse shit going on. I feel like, the record probably got some good, mostly I think it was a negative, just because I really believe that we had practiced really hard, like really based off of touring with you guys, touring with Slipknot, like with this new lineup, the way, like the new presentation, and I could envision it in front of crowds like yours and be like, okay, the connection wall that we had, it's gone. Like we're ready to, the way we're set up now, to that connection is going to be so much easier. So that's what I was looking forward to. But You don't got that
Imagine.
much time, so let's not talk
It's gonna
about my
happen.
ass.
It's
We
gonna
need to get
happen
back
for
onto
you.
your shit. Thank you,
Yeah.
buddy. I appreciate you.
Oh,
You're the
it's
fucking
cool, man.
best.
It's a conversation. You know, takes away a little
Thank you,
bit.
man. No, you guys are, dude. People need to know, like, you guys have always been so supportive of us. Even if we're not on your tours, at times we're always in the conversation. And when we're not in the conversation, we're on the tour. We're always in the mix. These guys are one of the only, I can count on a handful of bands that have really like put us on in that kind of way. And like, I always am trying hard to get on your shit and trying to like, but that's because I just really like, you're one of the few bands that I just believe, like, I believe in and believe like there's like a synergy with, and our music is not really similar, but it's like there's just a more of like a, to me, like a some energy in, and you guys are, and obviously you guys are more in a lot of ways like smartly mature and like passive in some ways with like what you're going after. You just focus on the music and you rock, and we're fucking really annoying and do what we do, but there's like a
So
kindred
annoying. You
spirit,
are so annoying. You kicked
there.
our ass every night on that
No.
tour with you, the Magma tour. We had to, to go on stage after you fucking crazy maniacs, wash the blood and the spit, and then it's hard. You know what I mean? Like it's so
That's an
annoying,
honor.
man.
Thank you. No, but dude,
Yeah.
so well, I want to ask you about one more song before we don't have to touch. We talked about the song "The Chant" a little bit, and the song before it, "Fortitude," which is like kind of like not quite an interlude, but like builds to it. Did those songs come
Yeah.
like late in the process? Because it almost feels like like a like a like a Beatles vibe or something. Like it like takes like a
Yeah.
a really cool twist, but it's heavy still. How early in like
Yeah.
the like architecture of the vibe was that one? Did that one come through?
I was working on a song that really never did anything. But I was doing backing vocals for one part. There was a part that was a bit boring, and I wanted to just put some stuff in the back. And one of these, I don't know, I was in a weird state. I was tired, and I started to do that weird,
Yeah.
like a weird, almost random sort of melody to create some weirdness behind some guitars. That's how it started.
Yes.
And then I put some harmonies, and then I soloed the vocals. I'm like, holy shit! Wait, the backing vocals are way more interesting than the whole song that I'm trying to compliment. So I printed that and I played it to the guys, and they're like, hey man, I think you got something here, and then we started to build a song around that chant. An interviewer yesterday said, oh, you did a great song with female vocals on it. I'm like, oh, it's me singing. Like, what do you mean female vocals? But I take it as a compliment.
Was that interviewer from Europe or no?
Probably. Yeah, I
Probably,
think he
because
was.
if they asked something like that, then they probably were. But continue, yeah. Uh, that a lot of times when we're doing like German interviews, they'll just ask like something really blunt that like could totally be like a like if I was an interviewer, it would be such a gamble question. Like, why would I just like throw that out there? But they don't give a fuck. They're literally just
I
like,
know.
so did you mean to make it sound like shit on this part, or like when the audio cuts out, like did it just like you guys just fucked up, right? And I'm like, no, like what are you
He
talking
just
about?
assumed it was
Yeah,
female vocals, and that was it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
mean to. It's just straight up. It's me. So it was a
That
bit
sounds awesome.
embarrassing, but that's fine. But yeah, I had a blast. Doing that mantra. For me, it's a mantra. I'm addressing the stars or distant planets or alien consciousness and
Yeah,
and my fellow humans. I'm very, like I said, very sensitive to all indigenous traditions, and the idea of the mantra is very powerful. As you bow to life and to the light, and you just put something out there, and it's super powerful. And it doesn't need to be violent to be powerful. Like I said, we're trying to create power, and a simple chant with a female sounding vocal can be extremely powerful too. The
yeah,
Beatles were super powerful. So anyway, we built this thing, and then we little by little, while tracking guitars and stuff, we realized, and on the demo stage, we realized that it could be a sort of a rock song almost. It's metal, but it's rock. It's
yeah,
stoner rock,
for sure.
weirdy. It's
Yeah,
weird. But weird is good, you know, we love weird, and it's also, you know, the catchiest, probably catchiest melody we've ever done. And there's a solo in there, which is also another weird thing. I call
Yeah,
it a solo. Some people might call it, no, it's just some notes, you know, it's not a solo. But
I do
it's
that
very
too. Yeah,
slow.
people tell me that as well because we're so not used to doing that it's very confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we'll see how
Well,
it
I
goes.
was.
I'm a little scared of that chorus though, live. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
dude,
How
you
we're gonna
fucking. Oh,
how
come
we're gonna
on.
pull this up.
It's gonna be fun, dude. Well, okay, you got to go in like 2 minutes. I want to ask you one more question. What is like the so okay when you guys are in front of like okay shit's gonna open back up. You're gonna do your tour with Deftones, for instance. But let's say you tour again with like Metallica, or you tour again. You play these big festivals. I know you're gonna play. You guys, like we've spoken about, you have a deep kind of philosophical message. You have a message about the environment, about people not even in an age where we all have the information to understand what things are being done wrong, people not caring, you know. What do
Yeah.
you want? So your average A1 motherfucker in Ohio, in Texas, in Germany, in whatever metal fan that's going to be there watching you. Maybe don't know who you are. Maybe they do. They've heard Gojira. They know at this point Gojira is like one of the metal mainstays. Is there anything you want them to take away from that message in general? I know you, and I know you're not of the mindset. I don't think that like you think every person who likes Gojira or most people have to believe what you believe or think what you think. But what do
No.
you want them to? What would be your goal in your ideal world that A1, whether it's like a Five Finger fan or a Metallica fan or a Slipknot fan, what do you want them to take away from your overarching message? You know, that's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. I hope to empower people in general with music. I'm hoping to do that in their everyday lives, and also to awaken something in them that they think they should be doing with their heart. If there's something they think they should be doing, then they should be doing it.
Yeah.
If they have a shitty job and they're scared to jump in an adventure when they're going to start their own company or their own business or an initiative in their community, or just get out there and become an actor when but maybe they're going to go work somewhere else because if they have a talent but they're scared to go for it. I hope our music is going to be fuel for them to go towards what they think they are meant to be doing in this lifetime.
Self-belief, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And also it's not just a motivation to get things done, but also to find your true path in life. Sometimes music can spark that. So I'm
Yes.
hoping
Yes.
that especially this album Fortitude, that is going to be a jump in the unknown for some people, or participate in that jump. And also we're gonna start some things on this album. When we're gonna release Amazonia, we're gonna try to raise money for the Amazon forest. It is also something that is very important for me and for the band, is to bring people's attention on some issues that we think are crucial. Who are we to talk about these subjects? Well, we're people. We're citizens of the world. That's
Yes.
that's the answer. So we all concerned. We all in this together. So if there's something at some point we can make a difference. When you go buy shit in the supermarket, you can buy shit A or shit B, and sometimes it's better to take shit B because it's not made on the other side of the planet. So you pollute less when you buy this. I'd like to
Yeah.
invite people to think for themselves and watch less TV, maybe, or less.
Yeah, no, less of the phone. That's probably the
Yeah. The
the
phone is the
best
new
version
thing.
of that. Yeah, no, man, that's a great way to put it, and I really feel it's a great way to end it. I also just feel as a general concept, metal is a lot of times at its best when not only is it like a release for people, but it does motivate people in a positive way. We all have our different angles on that and our different like versions of that push us, and we obviously have that as well. Feel that a lot, and I feel like that's what's great about metal. That's different than other genres, you know. And I think keeping that spirit alive, but in a way that's like matters to the causes that really matter to you, is really admirable. I think the record is awesome. I think you guys are one of the best live bands in the world,
Thank
100%,
you so much.
if not the best. I mean that 100%. So
After
that's
Code
pretty
Orange.
much all I got to say. Yeah, no. Maybe we one day though, we get back up there, we might get back. We'll see. But and I think we'll be seeing you soon. You know, and Reba's gonna have our asses in there with you. It seems like on this next one. So let's get it. Pretty much.
I would love to collaborate, you know. Yeah,
Hell
absolutely.
yeah.
I told you.
I mean, I don't know if the world's even ready for all that.
Is this
But there were.
happening or what?
I think I actually, dude. We'll confirm it right now in the interview. On some level, it's happening. If you are
Yeah.
available, we're doing it. Because I mean, why? We got the synergy. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's make some more classics. Let's do that shit.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that would be incredible, and I'm excited to collaborate with interesting people like you, Jamie. And
Thank you,
I
buddy.
want to learn also, you know, from experiences. But yeah, the studio is there. It sounds great, you know.
Let's get
let's
it.
do something. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And hopefully when you'll be back on the road, my prediction is that I'll throw out a prediction. I think we'll be back, bar something really bad happening. I think we'll be back on the road in the fall. I think so. Maybe it's a little bit late in the fall, but I think we'll be back on the road in the fall. So let's all be
Fingers crossed,
hopeful,
man.
and
I really hope it's going to happen sooner than
let's
later.
do it. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Okay. I love you, man. Thank you so much for
I
doing
love
this.
you too, buddy.
Okay. Cheers.
All right,
Thank
see ya.
you. Take care.